Welcome, everybody. I'm here with Don Tennessen. Don Tennessen, a partner with the Group Incorporated, a Ninja instructor, and actually a gentleman who has co-written the entire Ninja selling seminar with Larry Kendall, the founder himself. And Don, we've had you on in the past. We've had you up to Calgary 6 times in the past now, coming on to our 7th. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time as always.
Lindsey, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay, so Don, last time we had you on, we talked a little bit about what the Ninja Selling Seminar is. We talked about who it's for, increasing your per hour income, which is so that really you can have a life, have a great business, and have a life, and all those concepts. I think that really resonated with a lot of our group, and I want to use this opportunity to take a little bit deeper here, and compared to other programs. What makes Ninja Selling unique?
Great. 4 things really, Lindsey, and it's great to be speaking with your folks today. Concept number 1, I think most realtors can really appreciate, and we call it stop selling, and that's more of a mindset than it is actions. But sometimes we have the mindset of a salesperson versus the mindset of a trusted advisor, and it's like, okay. How do I want to be perceived by my customers, by my potential buyers and sellers? Do I want to be seen as that salesperson who's just kind of in it for the transaction, in it for the paycheck, uh, uh, manipulative kinds of techniques that people get real uncomfortable with? Or would I rather sort of try to establish myself as a trusted advisor? And we all have trusted advisors in our life. We see those people completely differently compared to salespeople. So our suggestion is let's take on the role and the mindset of a trusted advisor, which means if I'm a trusted advisor, I don't have anything to sell. I'm not trying to sell houses. I'm just trying to help people get where they want to go. And when that message comes through to your buyers and sellers, they relax. They don't have to be on edge because they're not dealing with the salesperson who's going to try to talk them into something. Everybody can relax. Just be yourself. That works really well. So one of the first things we talk about is how can we get past this idea that I have something to sell? Right?
That's
Yeah, it's pretty
that
good.
that's outstanding. Now that is you talk about being customer centric.
Yep.
Is that what you're talking about? How does that work?
Yeah, this customer centric is a second step in what makes Ninja unique, and that is the mindset here is, can I, as a realtor, focus more on my customers than I focus on myself? Now, here's the deal: we all have a favorite subject. We just have to admit what that favorite subject is, and we all know that our favorite subject is ourselves, and
Right.
we just have this tendency to talk about ourselves. Well, if we can put that off to the side, we say, no, I'm going to focus more on my customer than I focus on myself. And the way you do that is by asking questions to that buyer or seller, as opposed to telling stories, making recommendations, having opinions, all those things that salespeople typically do. It's great because then that buyer, that seller, they say, oh my gosh, they're focused totally on me. This feels great. I like that person, and uh, you get more leads and referrals when you focus on the customer. So we've got several pretty detailed strategies about how we do that, how we make that happen, and it really works. It's great when people really feel like they're the center of attention rather than the realtor being the center of attention.
You know, I just got to say one of the things, and we can talk about this a little bit, kind of near the end of our call here, but when realtors talk about it's like, well, will I have a guide on what to do? And I just can't say it. It's step by step. It's like, here is who you're going to call, or here's what you're going to do, and who you're going to call. And it's like, the people who you end up talking to want to hear from you based on how we do this. It's not a difficult thing. You're not pushing yourself on people, which is just outstanding.
That's
Um,
another key. That's another key point that makes Ninja unique, Lindsay. Is we suggest that people focus on people they already know, as opposed to trying to attract or do business with strangers. And a lot of the, as you know, a lot of the history of the real estate business is tied into working with strangers.
Oh yeah.
The old days of cold calling and geographic farming and some of that sort of thing is really an effort to try to get total strangers to do business with you. We think it's much more efficient to try to work with people you already know.
Nice. Now you guys focus a lot on mastery, personal mastery. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, the personal mastery is simply a commitment that says, I'm not going to compare myself to anybody else. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to bring the very best version of me into my business every single day. It's not about being number one in your office or number one in your market. It's about what do I expect of myself? What's my own personal definition of success? And can I bring the best version of me into my business? And you know what? That's good enough. We don't have to make comparisons. Don't have to be resentful of other people who have higher incomes or more transactions or whatever it might be. No, we just focus on the best version of ourselves, and everything will work out fine.
Now I wanted to share, and we talked about it in our last call, but the group incorporated 225 realtors, 220,
Yep.
and averaging 28 ends per person, which puts you guys number 2. You guys are consistently at the top of the real trends per agent, per transaction, per agent count,
Right.
which means you are top in North America. That's unbelievable. Congratulations and kudos to you and the team and the partners of the group there. Um, and it speaks to that standpoint of like personal mastery is where if you want to do 70 transactions a year, fine. If
That's
you want to do 17, but you want to do it in a very efficient way possible because you want to spend more time with your children, grandchildren, family, or doing the things you love, you can do that too.
no question about it. We ask the question routinely, Lindsey, to a real estate agent. We want to know, what is your enough?
I like
What's
that.
your enough? And surprisingly, there are a lot of realtors, especially higher producing realtors, who have trouble answering that question. And we try to help people understand that there's more to real estate than just the number of transactions or the gross commission income or whatever it is. That you can build a great business. The question is, can you also build a great life? We think you can do both at the same time.
I love it. I love it. Now, Don, the installation has 3 parts.
Yep.
Take us through those.
Okay. So the mindset, the skill set, and the actions is how we break up this 4-day workshop. So let's talk about the skill set first. That's the easiest one. The question is this: do I have the skills to help that buyer or help that seller once they show up in my business? Can I take that seller and do a good market analysis and negotiate a good contract with multiple offers and get them to the closing table? And the same with buyer. We can all be able to improve our skills. So we have a step-by-step process for sellers, a step-by-step process for buyers, and that takes up 2 days of the installation. We're going to try to improve our skills.
So this
The
is a
other
4-day installation. 4-day installation.
It's a 4-day
Yeah.
process, yeah. So 2 of those days on skill set, 1 day on actions. The actions refer to what actions do I need to take in order to generate more leads and referrals in my business. We think there's 2 parts to this business. We call it doing the business, which is when the buyers and sellers somehow show up. Can I do the business? But the more important question is, can I generate the business, which is the process of creating leads and referrals so that I have this ongoing supply of buyers and sellers who are going to want to do business with me. So we'll spend one entire day with 2 action plans. How can we help people improve their communication with live flow, face-to-face and on the phone? And how can we improve our communication through the mail, the email, and social media? Takes both strategies. By the end of that day, we'll have action plans for both.
Awesome. So that's the skill set and the
Yeah.
actions.
The other one's the mindset. And this is where we think Ninja's pretty unique. And that is, we'll spend the entire first day talking about the mindset. And the mindset is, how do we choose to think? How do we see the world? What's the lens through which we see the world and make decisions about how the world works for us? The truth is, a lot of science behind this. There is no such thing as reality. It's the lens through which I see the world that shapes my own reality. And we're going to take a day to look at some brain science, some latest research on how the human brain works, how people make decisions. And here's what we know for sure. If we're going to make some changes in our life to have a better life, we got to be able to start on the inside, because lasting change starts on the inside and works its way to the outside. So our first day, the mindset, it's a little bit of introspective work on how do I work, how do I run my brain from the inside out. It's a fun day.
You know what I love about Ninja so much is I've been to so many courses that um, I sit in the class, or I listen to the audio programs of it, and it's the same content they were teaching in 1986, and literally the same verbiage, the same jokes, everything else. And Ninja, it's such an entertaining thing because you guys use such a great job of. You've really embraced that, sort of don't tell somebody what you can show them, and the videos that are used. I always think that I know the next video that's coming, but it's not. You guys update it, and you guys have new book recommendations and everything else. And so it's been awesome. This is going to be coming on my 7th installation, and I just can never, ever get tired of it. The
Well,
interactions.
Well, I appreciate that, Lindsey. And one of the things that's really fun that the folks need to know is 4 days is a lot of time. 8 hours a day, that's 32 hours there. But only about half of that is actual instruction from the room. The other half is we play some games, we watch some videos, we have interaction with other people in the class. We always say you'll learn as much from the other people that are hanging out with you as you do from the front of the room. And we'll also have some practice thrown in there so that when people get ready to be finished with the 4 days, what's happened is we've put those folks, unknowing to them, on the ninja path for 4 days. So we have some mindset stuff, and we write some notes, and we make some calls, and we do a listing presentation and a buyer presentation, and we act like ninjas for 4 days. And at the end of that time, people got a pretty good idea of what they need to do in order to be successful.
That's absolutely outstanding. Looking forward to it as always, and the food's always good.
Yeah.
Okay, so leave us with what results, and we talked about this last time, but tell us again. What can people expect to happen to them, or what are some past results that you can share with us?
Sure. Anyone who's going to invest their time and their financial resources to come to something like this ought to be able to expect to have some tangible results. And so we've had over 20,000 realtors go through the Ninja installation since 2010. And we track this pretty carefully, including some results from CIR. And what we've been able to identify, at an absolute minimum, a realtor should be able to increase their gross commission income by 20% above and beyond what's going on in the market. So if the market's up 10%, then you ought to be up 30%, 20% above the market if you implement these systems. And of course, we've had all kinds of stories where people have done miraculous things and doubled or tripled their income. And I'll just give you one example. A company on the East Coast of the United States. It's a beach community, and it's a combination of a residential and second home community there. And we've done 3 Ninja installations for this company, and they've tracked very carefully. It's been a year now, and they've had, of the agents who've been through the Ninja installation, they have had a year-over-year increase of 39% compared to the previous year. And the agents in the same company who did not go through the installations were basically flat.
Wow.
So the Ninjas had a 39% year-over-year increase.
We had a very similar results when we tracked it, and our Ninja graduates were up 36%, and we even took out the highest performer because we thought, oh, that's just an outlier, so we removed that data point, and we still sat at 36%, and our average realtor was up 8% at the time. So we've seen this. We've seen these results firsthand, and they speak for themselves. Don, I want to thank you so much for coming on again and taking the time to share your knowledge and your wisdom with us, and we're so excited to have you come up to Calgary.
Lindsey, thank you so much. You know what we always say about those results? TSW. What's that stand for?
This stuff works.
Every time, man. Every time.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Don.
Okay, you take care.